And now, for more on the ravaging floods in the country, we have Tolulope Osayomi joining me now on Zoom to help make sense of all of this. Tolu, it's good to have you join me now. Now, we have seen devastating floods in parts of the country across the states. And as it is, one would recall how there were warning by NIMET and other agencies before now. But if we have to look at building capacity, what do you think it would take to build adequate capacity to be able to avoid the extent of the devastation caused by these floods?
Thank you very much. As you rightly said, we don't suffer from. We have the infrastructure for timely and effective flood warnings, but in my own opinion, it's the absence of institutional preparedness, and the government has to take a very big lead in this regard. I do understand that we are all stakeholders when it comes to flood risk reduction, but the government has to take a lead in this regard, and it's not just the federal government, but all the tiers of government. That's from federal government to state and down to the local government level. There has to be when these flood warnings were issued very early this year. What was the infrastructure laid out in anticipation of the floods? Were there IDP camps prepared? And it seems that we haven't really learned from the past. And I think it's high time we actually do some very critical vulnerability mapping of flood-prone areas in the country. The Niger-Benue Trough is one of the most vulnerable areas to river flooding. And I think my suggestion would be that the federal government should designate it as a special hazard zone. And that means there's going to be a huge federal investment in that regard, because it seems year in, year out, this problem is going to be a big problem for these people there.
All right. We've seen thousands of people displaced by the floods. And in fact, there's been report of some people missing and a few others losing their lives in the course of this. But how would you assess the level of response to this situation, especially when the floods have happened and people are counting their losses? And we're talking about rescue and response from state agencies. What's your level? How would you assess that part of things?
Well, the response is poor, just as it has been in the past. We had similar one in 2018. And from a little study that was carried out, the response on the government side was very, very poor. And again, it's not in any way different from the previous years or the previous incidents. I think this time around, the government needs to be very, very mindful of and be well prepared for these incidents, because the devastation that has been recorded is just so colossal. And we don't pray another one happens, but if it does, it's not going to be funny for this country at all. So we really need to sit down and take a critical look at it. Although the federal government says that the Ministry of Environment should come up with a plan in 90 days, I don't think, to me, that's medicine after death. And a lot more should have been done before now.
All right. Thank you very much for your insight. Tolulope Osayomi, lecturer at University of Ibadan. Thank you for joining us.